Celtic have just kicked off their season ticket campaign for the 2025-2026 season, and while the slogan "Back to the Future" brings a nostalgic chuckle for many, the rising ticket prices have left quite a few scratching out their heads. Price hikes ranging from 5 to 8% are no small jump, especially at a time when everyone's already feeling the pinch. It's almost like the club's gone full Marty McFly, only this time, instead of heading to the past or future, they're stepping into a slightly more expensive present. Now, as all this unfolds, imagine it's your birthday, a special one. Not quite the big 4-0, but close enough to feel the heat of it approaching. And while most people might expect a heartfelt gesture, or even just a shout from the club they've supported for decades, what you get instead is a reminder that your season ticket is going up in price. No card, no email, no special message. Just a little nudge from the ticketing department to get that payment sorted. Classic Celtic, isn't it? To launch the campaign, the club actually pulled off something pretty clever, a promotional video starring Martin Compston, best known as Steve Arnott from Line of Duty. And he's one of us. A proper Celtic man who knows the club, loves the club, and definitely doesn't shy away from a camera. The video had a cheeky tone and even featured Brendan Rodgers in the mix, though not stepping out of any mysterious doors to the relief or maybe disappointment of some fans. But what really caught folk off guard was the nod to Kieran Tierney, whose return has been the subject of plenty of chat on social media. The club's teasing game was on point, and whether it was a genuine hint or just a playful throwback, it got people talking. And that's what these campaigns are meant to do, right? But let's get back to the elephant in the room, the prices. For most adult fans, the starting ticket has jumped from £559 to $608. That's a decent chunk more for the same seat, same view, same emotional roller coaster. Seniors over 65 are now looking at £376, while thankfully tickets for under 18s and especially kids under 13 remain frozen at 50 quid. That bit's worth praising, to be fair. Giving the younger generation an affordable way in is key, especially when so many kids are choosing screens over stadiums. Still, across fan forums and comment sections, there's a clear frustration. Supporters are loyal, some beyond measure. Many have held season tickets since the 90s, even the late 80s, and they've weathered all sorts of highs and lows. But the reality is life is more expensive these days. Every pint, every weekly shop, every bus ride seems to cost a little more. So even if it's just an 8% bump, it stings. It forces people to make choices, and that's a heavy thing when the club's supposed to be your escape. Now here's another wee detail that's rubbing folk the wrong way. The season ticket, despite the price hike, doesn't include European qualifiers or group stage matches. That's right. If Celtic make it to the Champions League or drop into the Europa League, you'll need to fork out again. Last season, the 4-match Champions League package came to around £184. That's 46 quid per match. And while technically that's the same price per game as before this year, fans got an extra match. So you paid more, but at least there was added value. Still, for some, it begs the question, why not include at least the qualifier in the season ticket package? It's not as if Celtic Park doesn't fill out. It's almost always rammed. And if you think this price debate is just a Scottish thing, think again. Some supporters have been comparing our ticket prices with clubs down south. Arsenal, over £1,000 for the cheapest season ticket. Tottenham, just under £900. Even Liverpool and Newcastle are charging upwards of £660. And that's for clubs in a league that's swimming in cash and boasting arguably the highest weekly standard of football on the planet. Of course, we're not saying Celtic should be matching those prices. Far from it. But the comparison does give context. Celtic are a massive club in their own right, with a stadium that fills up more often than not in a league that, let's be honest, isn't exactly flush with competitive drama every weekend. So it's a strange balance. On one hand, you've got fans who love the club with everything they've got. They go through wind, rain, and train strikes just to be there for kickoff. On the other hand, you've got a boardroom that seems to believe fans will pay whatever it takes season after season. That unwavering loyalty becomes a kind of guarantee, a safety net that allows the club to push the envelope a little more each year. But there's always a line, and some are starting to feel like we're edging closer to it. The deadline for renewals is the 30th of May, That's about 5 weeks for fans to decide whether to keep their seat or let it go. For many, it won't be a question. They'll renew, grumble a bit, and be back in their usual spot come August. But for others, the decision won't come easy. The emotional pull of Celtic Park is strong, but so are the demands of rent, energy bills, and food shopping. Football may be life, but life's gotten a lot more expensive lately. It's a reminder that supporting a football club isn't just about what happens on the pitch. It's about the rituals, the memories, the community. It's about the first game your dad took you to, or the one you took your own kid 2 years later. It's about standing in the rain singing songs that you know by heart, even if you couldn't carry a tune in a bucket. That's what the board needs to remember. Because while we're all here for the goals and the glory, we're also here for each other. And when fans start to feel like they're being priced out of their own community, something's going wrong. And maybe that's the most frustrating bit. Because the connection between the Celtic support and the club has always gone far beyond money. This isn't some transactional corporate loyalty scheme. It's something lived, felt, passed down through generations. Folk don't just buy a ticket. They commit their time, their hearts, their Saturdays, their midweek evenings in the freezing cold. And in return, all they ask is that the club shows them the same respect they show the club. A bit of recognition, a bit of understanding. That hasn't always been there. And now, with another price rise slapped on the table, you can feel the growing sense that Celtic are beginning to test the limits of that goodwill. Of course, the board will say it's necessary. They'll point to inflation, to operational costs, to investment in the squad. And sure, we all want Celtic to compete, not just domestically, but in Europe too. We want a team that's not just making up the numbers in the Champions League, but one that's going out there to take scalps to make a name. But there's got to be a balance. A club like Celtic should be run responsibly, yes, but also with a sense of its identity. And that identity has always been tied to the people who fill those stands. If you start pricing them out, even slowly, you chip away at something sacred. You look around Celtic Park on a match day and you see it all the laddies in their first replica kits, the old boys in scarves they've worn since the 80s. The pals who meet at the same turnstile every week, like it's a religious group. It's not just a football crowd, it's a family. And that family has carried the club through thick and thin. Through Seville, through the 9-in-a-row years, through the lows of the early 2000s, and into this modern era that's become a strange mix of dominance and frustration. The trophies have kept coming high, but so have the European disappointments. And yet the fans keep coming back. Because it's what they do, it's who they are. And now there's a growing feeling that things might need to shift. Not just the prices, but the structure of Scottish football as a whole. When Celtic run out to play Livingston or St. Mirren or Ross County in front of 60,000, there's often an eerie sense that the result's already written. It's not arrogance, it's just reality. The gap between Celtic and the rest of the league has grown to a point where most games feel more like obligations than contests. That's not healthy. Not for Celtic, not for the league, and certainly not for the fans who pay to watch it. And let's be honest, this isn't what football should feel like. You want jeopardy. You want drama. You want the kind of game where your heart's in your mouth from kickoff to the final whistle. You don't want to feel like you're watching a training session with a scoreboard. And while the Old Firm derby still brings fire and chaos and full-blooded madness, it can't carry the weight of a whole season. We need more. More competition, more meaningful matches, more ambition from the league as a whole. That's why there's been renewed talk about structural change. Brendan Rodgers himself has hinted that Celtic need a bigger platform. European football is the obvious answer, but even that's become a poison chalice in recent years. You get drawn into a group with the likes of Madrid, Bayern, PSG, and its damage limitation from day one. That's not development, that's demoralization. So what's the answer? A European league, a British league, a restructured SPFL with real investment and innovation. Nobody seems to know for sure. But what we do know is that the current model is unsustainable for the fans, for the players, for the long-term health of the game here. And all the while, supporters are asked to do more. Pay more, give more, smile more. While the product doesn't improve, while the challenge remains stagnant, while decisions are made behind closed doors by men in suits who rarely step foot in the stands, that disconnect is growing. And while most fans will never walk away, some are beginning to question just how much they're willing to tolerate. Not because they love the club any less, but because they love it too much to see it lose its soul. But even in the midst of all this, there's hope. There always is with Celtic. It's in the songs, in the banners, in the defiance that lives in every corner of the support. We've seen this club rise before, from financial chaos in the 90s to European finals, from transitional squads to record-breaking trebles. We've had legends, we've had heartbreaks, we've had moments that live forever. And that spirit, that never dies. That's why even when things feel a bit broken, you still believe they can be fixed. Not by ignoring the problems, but by facing them head on. The truth is Celtic can't afford to become complacent. Not on the pitch, not off it. The fans deserve better than being treated like walking wallets. They deserve transparency, communication, and above all, respect. And the club has a real opportunity here to listen, to adapt, to show that the people in charge still understand what makes Celtic unique. Because it's not the trophy cap or the balance sheet or even the stadium itself. It's the people, always has been. So as this new season approaches and the deadline looms for fans to commit yet again, the question isn't just about affordability, it's about connection, about whether supporters still feel seen, still feel valued, still feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves. And if the answer starts to lean the wrong way, then the club will need to reckon with the consequences. Not immediately, perhaps, but over time. Because loyalty isn't infinite, it's earned, and it can be lost slowly, quietly, painfully. There's still time to get it right, still time to rebuild the bridges, still time to remind everyone that Celtic is more than a brand. It's a cause, a community, a legacy. And if the board can remember that, really remember that, then maybe the future will be worth going back to. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. In a move that has sent ripples through Scottish football, Greek shipping magnate Evangelos Marinakis completed the takeover of Celtic Football Club late yesterday. The deal, reportedly worth in excess of $200 million, marks the beginning of a new era at Parkhead, ending the reign of the previous ownership group after nearly a decade of stewardship. Marinakis, whose acquisition portfolio already includes Olympiacos FC, spoke of his immense pride at joining the storied ranks of Celtic. This club is built on passion, history, and unwavering support. He declared at a packed press conference, "I intend to honor that legacy by investing in the squad, improving facilities, and securing silverware that our fans so richly deserve." Supporters gathered outside Celtic Park in the pouring rain, many clutching scarves embroidered with slogans celebrating both past triumphs and the promise of what lies ahead. A chorus of "You'll never walk alone" rang out, echoing off the stands as fans hoped Marinakis' deep pockets will restore the club to domestic dominance and more competitive outings in Europe. Sources close to the board anticipate a significant influx of new signings this summer, with particular emphasis on bolstering the midfield and defense. Marinakis has already given green lights for negotiations with several high-profile targets, and insiders suggest that a marquee striker is top of the shopping list. "We need goals," admitted the new chairman, "and we want to bring excitement back to every match." Off the pitch, plans are afoot to modernize the training ground and expand commercial partnerships worldwide. The new owner sees Celtic not just as a football club, but as a global brand ripe for growth in Asia, North America, and beyond. Analysts believe that with Marinakis' experience in steering Olympiacos to 10 consecutive Greek titles, similar success could be replicated at Celtic, assuming he navigates the distinct challenges of Scottish football's fierce old firm rivalry. As dawn broke on this historic day, longtime season ticket holder Fiona McLeod summed up the collective mood. "It's a fresh start. We've had good times and tough times, but with Marinakis at the helm, I truly believe the best is yet to come. Only time will tell if this daring gamble pays off, but one thing is certain, the Celtic faithful are dreaming big once more." Hello, fans! Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.